Imagine a man sitting in his car in a rain-slicked parking lot somewhere in suburban America. The glow of the city lights is blurred against the windshield, a distant and unreachable hum. He is successful by every modern metric, yet he is exhausted in a way he cannot explain to his friends or his family. Every notification on his phone feels like a small puncture, every social interaction a quiet surrender of his own center. He has spent years trying to be disciplined, buying the planners, setting the 5 a.m. alarms, and white-knuckling his way through a life that feels like a performance for an audience he doesn't even like. What this man does not realize is that he is caught in the law of reverse effect. The harder he chases discipline, the further it eludes him, because he is trying to build a fortress on the foundation of sand. He believes he has a focus problem or a productivity problem, but he is treating symptoms while the infection spreads. Ancient history gives us the antidote in the form of a man who faced far worse than a crowded inbox. In 170 AD, on the frozen edge of the Danube River, Marcus Aurelius sat in a tent surrounded by death, plague, and the stench of impending betrayal. He was the most powerful man on earth, yet he spent his nights not in celebration, but in predatory stillness, writing a survival manual for his own soul. He understood that the world is a storm that never stops blowing. He knew that the only way to remain unbroken was not to try harder to control the storm, but to change the very nature of the man standing in it. Here is the truth that will sting before it sets you free. You do not have a discipline problem. You have an identity problem. You are struggling because you are still identifying as the man who is trying to be better, rather than the man who has already decided who he is. Every time you try to be disciplined, you are subtly admitting that discipline is not natural to you, and your brain treats the effort as a foreign intrusion. You have spent your adult life being a social chameleon, adjusting your colors to fit the room, explaining your choices to people who never asked, and seeking validation for moves you haven't even made yet. This is what the Stoics called leaking energy. Every explanation is a withdrawal from your mental bank account. Every justification is a quiet apology for existing as you do. You have outsourced the definition of your character to the mob, and now you wonder why you feel so hollow. To break the view freeze of your own life, you must undergo a radical shift from the reactive victim to the sovereign mind. A sovereign man does not negotiate his dignity in real time. He does not ask for permission to be powerful. He understands that his identity is not a fixed trait he was born with, but a continuous choice made in the silence between his thoughts. At the heart of the Stoic mental operating system lies a concept so simple it is often ignored: the gap. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Most men live as if the space between a stimulus and their response is zero. Someone insults them and they heat up. Someone ignores them and they spiral. They are programmable machines, and anyone with a cutting word holds the remote control to their emotions. But the sovereign man has discovered that there is a tiny, almost invisible gap between what happens and what he does next. In that gap lives your entire future. The Stoics trained themselves to make that gap wider, to make it a room they could walk into and breathe. This is the seat of the ruling faculty, or the hegemonikon, the command center of the self that governs thought, perception, and choice. When you master the gap, you stop being a pond that ripples at every thrown stone and become the deep water where the stone enters but never reaches the bottom. You begin to guard this ruling faculty like an emperor guarding his borders. You realize that the things you think about determine the quality of your mind, and you stop allowing toxic noise to occupy prime real estate in your head. This is the construction of your inner citadel.
To build this citadel, you must follow the laws that 99% of men will understand, but never apply. Law number 1, audit your circle by cost, not gain. Marcus Aurelius was surrounded by people who smiled to his face while sharpening knives for his back. He asked himself, who in my life requires me to become someone I'm not in order to keep them comfortable? Every person you tolerate who drains your clarity is a crack in your foundation that will show up when pressure arrives. This Monday morning, identify one relationship where you are performing and choose tactical silence instead of your usual performance. Law number 2, rehearse the worst before it arrives. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum. Every morning, Marcus would walk through the worst things that could happen: betrayal, insolence, and failure. Fear is loudest when it is vague. When you name it and sit with it, it shrinks. Before you open your email, spend 2 minutes visualizing the most disrespectful response you could receive and decide right now that it cannot touch your center. Law number 3, let silence expose the room. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, was the quietest man at every gathering. Silence creates a vacuum, and in that psychological void, others will scramble to fill it, revealing their motives and insecurities without you asking a single question. When you speak least and observe most, you become the most dangerous person at the table because you are seeing clearly while others are performing. In your next meeting, do not speak until everyone else has finished. Let the tension breathe. Law number 4, stop explaining your decisions. Cato the Younger never adjusted his position for the crowd. He said what he believed once and stood behind it. Over-explaining is a fear broadcast that tells the room you aren't sure you're allowed to make the choice you just made. Certainty is more persuasive than evidence. People read the subtext of your anxiety far more accurately than they read your words. Use the 3-part framework. Lead with your conclusion, give 1 line of context, then stop talking. Law number 5, embrace voluntary discomfort. Seneca would occasionally wear coarse clothing and eat plain food to remind himself that his peace didn't depend on luxury. The man who never faces difficulty voluntarily becomes terrified of involuntary difficulty. Take a cold shower or skip a meal. Prove to your ruling faculty that you are not a slave to your own comfort. Law number 6, practice radical ownership of the inner world. Epictetus taught that men are disturbed not by events, but by the opinions they hold about them. If a stranger can anger you with a word, you are not a man, you are a programmable machine. Sovereignty means acknowledging that no one has access to your inner world without your permission. The next time you feel a surge of anger, say to yourself, this thought is not me, it is an event in my mind. Law number 7, never announce the work until it is finished. A tiger does not roar before the kill. It moves in silence and lets the result speak. Announcing a goal gives you a dopamine hit of progress without you doing a single thing, killing the drive to actually execute. When nobody knows what you are building, you are forced to love the work itself rather than the applause. Apply the 72-hour rule. Say nothing about your new plan or goal for 3 full days. Build in the dark. In 2026, the world has become an industrial-scale machine for leaking energy.
We are trained to be loud, to be relevant, and to be seen. But in a world where everyone is screaming for a few seconds of attention, the man who is unreadable becomes the most magnetic force in the room. Invisibility is not a lack of power, it is the ultimate flex. It is the ability to enjoy the fruits of your labor without the burden of the crowd's judgment. You don't need to post your transformation to make it real. You don't need to defend your boundaries to make them valid. The men history remembers were not the ones who explained themselves into relevance. They were the ones who moved with purpose and let the results do the talking. When you stop performing for the audience, you start actually living.
There is a version of your life waiting for you, where the weight of other people's opinions has finally dropped. It is a life of predatory stillness, where your confidence isn't something you perform, but something you simply are. Like the Japanese art of kintsugi, your past failures and broken promises do not make you weak. They are the gold that fills the cracks of the man you are choosing to become right now. The ruling faculty within you is awake. The gates to your inner citadel are closing. You started this video as one version of yourself. You end it knowing something you cannot unknow. If you have stayed until this moment, you have the focus that 99% of men have surrendered to the noise. Prove it to the algorithm and to yourself. Lock in this identity shift right now by typing the word sovereign in the comments. Stay quiet, stay powerful, build what matters. Subscribe to Stoic 95. We are just getting started.